Congratulations on this show. I think it is truly wonderful. I've been following your career for the last few years, and I saw your first show here, and I saw your show that you did at the Musée d'Orsay in Paris last year. And this feels like this is a real development, and it feels like a real moment.
Thank you.
There's this very different spirit, as you say. There is this element of darkness in it. We've had a brief discussion about some of the works, and there's one work that I feel is really key, which is the portrait of your grandfather. And it's done with such kind of honesty and love and authenticity, but there's a real kind of sense of his domination within the exhibition, not in an overbearing way, but a kind of presence. Yeah. And I'd love you to talk a little bit about him as a character and how that painting came about.
Thank you. Yes, you're totally right, because this is the first painting I did in this series, in this show. So his name is Aryeh, it means lion, and he survived the Holocaust, 2 cancers, 2 dead wives, many different challenges. He lost all his money in the one day. It's really a beautiful, strong character. For me, the symbolize surviving. And then he sat on this red couch for 10 years, watching National Geographic. Even though he's dead now for 4 years, I felt a huge urge to have a conversation with him. Now with the war in the Middle East, and everything that is changing in Israel right now and in Palestine, and I really wanted to just talk and feel like a conversation with him could really help me understand better what we lost as values and where we're going and what painted him, and it went very easily, kind of. It was
a very natural process.
It was very natural.
So you were doing it partly from memory, but also from
a
some
photo that I took.
Yeah.
He died in my hand when we were holding hands. So I really have beautiful photos from him from his last moments.
But I mean, he is a kind of a big man, as you say, but a real presence, and you get that sense of his spirit, and maybe his spirit kind of, infiltrates everything else in the gallery.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, and also when I painted a little plate just next to him, it was an empty plate, and then yesterday I felt the need to put the eggs on the plate, maybe like an offrande or something, and also because the eggs in the Jewish tradition is the symbol of death and life and the cycle, and we eat it when there's a grief.
So that's part of the kind of, mourning process, to eat the eggs and the bagels, and
Exactly.
And that leads us on very nicely, actually, to this fantastic work, which is this one of the biggest paintings you've ever done?
The biggest.
It's the biggest.
Yeah.
It's such a remarkable composition.
Thank you.
And not only the kind of complexity of it, because you've got all of the characters sitting around the table and the L-shaped table, but there's this, I was pointing out to you earlier, this wonderful luminosity that you managed to capture in the tablecloth, which kind of really, it's that center point, and you feel as if there's something missing. There's a sense of loss. There's a sense of something else should be there, and it's not.
I'm happy you're saying that. Yeah, but exactly. It's absolutely about grief, which I was not sure in the beginning. The starting point was that a few years ago, a painter friend, Xini Cheng, sent me a picture of a beautiful Egon Schiele painting of a dinner, because it's not the first time I'm struggling to do a dinner. It's such a hard subject with many hands and many eyes, and I already missed few. And so I had this picture in my phone and of Egon Schiele, and I decided maybe I'll try this composition. I'll do an homage to Egon Schiele and to his composition, which is also, his painting is not that known, of his table.
No, it's not well known.
No.
Yeah.
And then I did a composition, and I did not know where I'm going, but slowly I understood it's a grief painting, because it was such a tough year, and I could not avoid putting my feelings of this year there, and the eggs as a symbol, and also the man that is in the head of the table, that is betting, that is a leader, was just a gambler, and then all the characters that I sort of invented or put at people I knew, like painter friends and the people who sat for me, and some of them I don't even know where they came from.
No, it's a really extraordinary work, and these kind of absolute contrasts in it, you know, the darkness either side of the tablecloth, and the way it kind of recesses into a very, very much darker background. And there's the depictions of the Last Supper. It's a really hard subject, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But I think in terms of painting, I think it's a real triumph and a fascinating work. But going back to your grandfather, as we said, he kind of sets the spirit for the exhibition, but he also sets this trend in it where it's very dominated by male figures.
Yes, it's true.
And
it's true.
I was fascinated by that, and why. Is there any particular reason for that? Or is it just where your head is at the moment?
The show starts with the figure of Mathieu and his son. That Mathieu is my neighbor, and he has 3 children, and etc. But the painting just next to it is a soldier, and Mathieu is my neighbor from France, and Lucas, the soldier, is a French soldier. But of course, when I hang the show, I suddenly understood I'm projecting my problems on the models, you know, my feelings, and obviously they have nothing to do with it, but I could not avoid thinking about, you know, you send your son to the war, what a crazy, like, but timeless idea, and how come we're still in this? And also the men after my grandpa, and then this man with the bottle, and then draw the architect with his big hands like this, and then the almost dead figure of Amir, and I suddenly understand, wow, the show is really question about masculinity and where we're going, you know, and yeah.
But also that idea of the cyclical nature of it, you know, when we were talking about the soldier, and the man with his son, and this kind of hopeless inevitability of, you know, there's another war. You know, your grandfather lived a long life and saw a lot of you know, political difficulties and survived it, and yet we're still here. And it just feels as if, you know, every generation has got to kind of go through that thing, and the changes between the relationship of men and their children is something that I get a sense you're very sensitive to.
Absolutely. I see that also in the future. I mean, that's why I'm happy we're standing next to this painting. It's homage to Jeremy, of course, but also to open men, and to men that is evolving, and to celebrate that, or to wish for that anyways.
It's the idea of the nurturing man, and Jeremy, of course, is your partner, and he's holding your beautiful daughter and feeding her. Which is, you know, we think about that as a woman's role, but here a man is supporting his family by doing that, as we think every man should. But what's so wonderful about this piece, and it's got such tenderness, is that there he is doing something which is such a natural thing, you know, looking after his beloved daughter, supporting his family. And this chaos of modern life is behind him, and yet he's able to continue to perform that act. And I think that's such a kind of wonderful oppositional force in this work.
Thank you. Yeah, I really wanted to make a contrast between the outside and protect, and the need to protect. And I guess every parent is feeling like that these days, and through history, it's just something so strong. And I wanted people to identify with this feeling of sometimes frustration, of the anxiety of protecting. With the grandpa, there's another painting speaking about his grief, but it's called the Shiva. It's the Jewish tradition to sit for 7 days after someone died. And actually, if we speak about protecting, it's protecting a moment, like in the Jewish tradition, but also in Christianity, right? Yeah. You hide the painting and you hide the mirrors in order to be in the zone, in order to be really with the dead person, if his body is here or not, and to make a moment for that, really a week where you sleep there and people are coming. And that's why I painted his apartment there, where you can recognize the red chair and where he was sitting 10 years, and see the empty apartment and just maybe his soul kind of there.
And that bird's eye view of it is really kind of wonderful.
Thank you.
And presumably that's all done from memory.
Memory. I did it just after he died, and then I put it in I just kept it for me, and then today I was able to let it go. I worked on it a little bit more and decided to show it and to let it go. Even though the grandpa painting, the Aryeh, I'm keeping for myself. And some paintings like this, I just can't.
They're too emotionally connected to you.
Yeah, I did it for myself.
So, I mean, just thinking of the range of subject matter here. So we've got this very clear sense of the focus of the exhibition, which starts with the grandfather, and there is this kind of, somber tone to everything. But in terms of diversity of subject matter, it's enormous. You've got the interior scenes, which is the house after your grandfather's died, the apartment. You've got the kitchen as well, which has kind of got a very sort of desolate quality to it. You've got some landscape works in here as well. There's the little bed, that's another little kind of vignette, and you've got portraits. And it's hugely ambitious.
Thank you.
From that perspective.
Like sometimes I wonder, can I manage everything? Because, for example, clouds, I can't paint, it's too hard. So I don't know if I can allow myself, I'm still working but I do want to know how to paint everything. And also there's a woman giving birth. We didn't speak about
speak about the woman giving birth, and of course that's a kind of amazing.
And she's the only one in the show. Yeah. No, maybe not, but almost. And also the show is finishing with a couple of pregnants. In the last room. I guess I also wanted to, what happened after war is baby boom, but also I just wanted to really do the egg kind of symbol. It's about death, but it's also about life, and the show had to do all of it in a way.
So the egg is a kind of presence, like your grandfather's spirit throughout the exhibition.
Yeah.
Birth and death, the whole cycle. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about your technique. And we've had a conversation before and talked about how quickly you're able to do portraits. That they've got, and that's why they've got that kind of fresh immediacy. And we talked about sort of Alice Neal and you being very aware of her work, and the characters that you're choosing, they're very real. They're people you know, and they're people that you have found in the street, and they're in your neighborhood, so they're kind of part of your world. But I'd love you to talk about how you select them, but also how you paint them, what that process is like, how you manage to get down so much of their spirit in a very limited amount of time.
For example, Lucas, the soldier, he's 2 times in the show. I didn't know he's a soldier. I saw him in the museum with his mother. He's a very young man, 21. And I asked him, can I paint you? Because he looks like a walking Fahem portrait. And he's a gorgeous man,
But tell us about the technique. Tell us about this. So you're using oil paintings. You're not preparing drawings. You've got the figure in front of you.
The figure's coming, yeah.
Yeah, and you just
I just
set
start
yourself
to paint.
the task. Yeah.
Yes, I don't do a drawing. When there's someone's coming, I'm just painting them. I don't know a lot about how it's going to sit or anything. We sit together. Sometimes I try, like a bit like Alice Neal, It's like, why won't you take off your shirt? Sometimes working. And normally we have a crazy intimate moment after 3 seconds. And that's the power I have and I use in the studio. And people feel very comfortable in the studio some way. And then I can do a lot with them. And we tell crazy story to each other. And the conversations are very, very pure, very, very real.
Well, it's a remarkable kind of relationship, even if it's short term.
Absolutely.
To have that focus, for 2 people to have that focus on each other.
Yeah, no phone, no nothing, and just stripping, really really, me as well, we really get into intimate, real, honest subjects, and that's so helpful for me to paint them, to say something about them. It's also their moment sometimes. So for example, Lucas, when I saw him, he said, okay, I will pose for you, but I'm a soldier, a French soldier, so only weekends. And I said, of course, come on the weekend, no problem. And then he came and I just wanted to paint his Fayoum face. But then he asked, why don't you paint me with this, soldier? And then I was like, man, Israeli artist painting a French soldier doesn't mean anything right now. But he insisted, it was his moment. He said, please, I come again next week. We do the soldier thing. And he came with this, parade kind of uniform, and I did it, what can I do? It's his moment.
That's great.
And sometimes I love giving this to someone. He wants to say something, and I'm just a tool for him. And what a beautiful power to have, to be able to help someone express himself also.
So his self-expression comes right through the painting.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
I hope.
Yeah.